Once upon a time, in a remote village nestled in the woods, there lived 3 witches. The villagers were terrified of them, as they were known to be powerful and manipulative. The witches were sisters, and their names were Lilith, Hecate, and Morgana. They were feared and hated by everyone, except for each other. Lilith was the oldest of the 3 sisters. She had a crooked nose and a cackling laugh that sent shivers down the spines of those who heard it. She was a master of dark magic and loved nothing more than causing chaos and misery. Hecate was the middle sister, and she was the most cunning of the 3. She had pierced green eyes and a sultry voice that could charm anyone. She was an expert in potions and could create elixirs that could heal or harm. Morgana was the youngest sister, but she was the most powerful of them all. She had jet black hair that flowed down her back and eyes as cold as ice. She could control the elements, and her spells were almost unstoppable. The witches lived in a rundown cottage on the edge of the village, surrounded by a dense thicket of thorns. They rarely ventured into the village, but when they did, it was to cause trouble. They would curse crops, bring illness to livestock, and cause mischief wherever they went. One day, a young boy from the village was out in the woods gathering berries when he stumbled upon the witch's cottage. He was curious and peeked through the window, only to see the 3 sisters gathered around a cauldron, chanting and cackling. Suddenly, the witches turned and saw the boy spying on them. They were furious and chased him away, threatening to curse him and his family if he ever came back. The boy ran back to the village, terrified and shaking. He told everyone what he had seen, and soon the villagers were up in arms. They decided to take matters into their own hands and drove the witches out of the village. The witches fled into the woods, vowing revenge. They decided to work together and combine their powers to cast a spell that would bring darkness and death to the village. They concocted a potion made of poisonous mushrooms and frogs' eyes and poured it into the village well. Soon, the villagers began to fall ill and die one by one. The witches watched from afar, cackling and laughing at the suffering they had caused. But their laughter turned to horror when they realized they had made a fatal mistake. They had forgotten to protect themselves from the poison, and they too had drunk from the well. The witches fell to the ground, writhing in pain as the poison took hold of them. Their bodies twisted and contorted, their eyes bulging, and their tongues lolling out of their mouths. The villagers found the witches' bodies the next day, twisted and deformed beyond recognition. The sight was so gruesome that some of the villagers fainted on the spot. The witches' reign of terror was finally over, but the memory of their evil deeds lingered on in the village for years to come. The villagers learned to live without fear, but they never forgot the 3 witches and the horror they had brought upon them.